Can you hear my voice? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm ready. Okay. And good afternoon, everyone. Today in my presentation, I would like to take you through Joe Biden's dedication to become a successful leader. And I believe that most of you are quite familiar with this great person. So before starting my presentation, I'm going to tell you a short story. In 1972, a person who is going to take part in the selection of the senator lost his wife and daughter in a car accident suddenly. What's more, he even suspects that the driver has consumed alcohol before he drives. But after notice that the driver's family denied the suspicion, and the police also cannot prove that the driver was drunk driving. The person apologized to the driver. And honest, I truly show respect to the victim's kindness and his justice. And I guess you all know that the person is Joe Biden. And next, I would like to direct your attention to the three parts that I'm going to discuss today. Okay, and the first part is the background of Joe Biden, and the second is why is he worthwhile? And last but not least, I'm going to share my personal conclusion. And now let's move to the first part. While introducing Joe Biden's background, I won't talk about some personal information like where is he come from or where is he graduating from. I would like to focus on some special stories like I think it will help you to learn more about this person. And the first is about his family. When he was born, his family was really rich at first. But after a few years, due to the economic crisis, his family become poor. As a result, they often change the place that they live. And what I'm trying to tell you is that Joe Biden has experienced how poor families live their lives. So he cares a lot about those who have difficulties in their own lives. And I think this is a really important key point that make him a good leader. And the second story is that before he was selected as the president of United States, he was a senator during 1973 to 2017, and he was the vice president during 2009 to 2017. In fact, he did try to take part in the president election in 1988 and 2008, but unfortunately, he failed at both times. However, he did not give up and finally succeeds in the election in 2020. And the fourth is the story that I mentioned before my presentation, which is he lost his first wife and his daughter. And I say first, which means he did get married after that accident. And moving on, let's look at the next slide. And I'm going to introduce about some Joe Biden's point of view on some sensitive issue. And I would like to combine the first one and the second one, which is his political standpoint, centrism, and his foreign policy, which is non-military. And it is apparent that Joe Biden is a person who does not like war. But that doesn't mean he won't lend a helping hand to the country that he thinks is in need. What he will do is that he often use his own way, which doesn't cause too much damage to both countries. And I think this is a quite smart decision. And the third is also an issue that people concern a lot, which is the relationship between America and China. And what Biden say is that he believes that China is their competitor and partner rather than an enemy. And the last is about the European Union. In this topic, I have to say Trump did help Biden to a certain degree because what Biden wants to do is to fix the relationship who was kind of broke by Trump. And in these four points, I have to admit that I do show some respect to Biden's wisdom because I won't judge whether it is right or wrong because I believe that there will never be right or wrong in political problems. But I have to say that Biden really knows how to survive in such a dilemma. So, and before moving on to the next part, I would like to show you what Biden says before he was selected as the president. He says that we can right wrongs, we can put people to work in good jobs, we can teach our children in safe schools, and we can overcome this deadly virus. And moving on, let's find out whether he has stick to his word or not. So the first, and discussing about what he has accomplished, I also divided it into several parts. And the first is about Can you see me now? Okay, and the first is about the pandemic. And as you can see, he kind of like success in this part. And um, as you can see, he assembled coronavirus task force and pushed for immediate coronavirus legislation, release a vaccine distribution plan, and so on. And it is said that it is the kind of like signature accomplishment he has done so far, as he signed a 1.9 trillion relief bill that passed along party lines. It contained money for direct payments, enhanced employment benefits, and rental assistance, but did not include everything Biden wanted, particularly a raise in the minimum wage to US $15 an hour. So I think it can still be improved in this part. But Biden did already do a great job. And the next part is about environment. And Biden held a virtual international climate summit, urging countries to follow the United States lead in reducing their contributions to global warming. But at the second point, you can see that making US an international leader on climate change is not that easy because rest of the world, European country in particular, has seen the US drop out of and rejoin multiple international climate agreements, and is worried of whether any climate commitments started by Biden will last in the country's current political environment. So I think this is what Biden should conquer. And next is about racial equity. You can see that actually he did not success in this part. And I think this is quite reasonable because it is really hard to get agreement from everyone. Like the Republicans argue that the federal government should leave voting rights, issues, and election administrations to the states. But I still think that it's good for Biden to take such an action to reach racial equity. And the fourth is about immigration. You can see that it is the longest list so far. He has introduced legislation for pathway to citizenship for immigrants in US illegally and established task force to reunite children and parents separated at the border and so on. And it is no exaggeration to say that Joe Biden's literally used his effort to help those immigrants. And I think this is quite challenging because even some Americans do not like immigrants living in their country because they cause some mess. And the last is about foreign policy, like I mentioned earlier. He would like to pick up the pieces of Donald Trump's broken foreign policy. And this cannot be achieved in short terms. But I believe that as long as Biden's put more effort on this part, he can success sooner or later. And to conclude, although Biden still has some shortcomings since no one in this world is perfect, we can still learn something from such a mighty leader. I truly admire his wisdom and the effort that he put in to stick to what he has said before becoming the president. And I hope that all of you to learn something from this great leader. Thank you for listening.
Do you think why he was so old and he ran for the election?
I think that most of the political those who are taking in selection are quite old because people like people that who has experience in living in this world, so they can see things in different point of view.
But he was over 70s when he ran for the election.
Oh yes, I'm really curious about why Americans love him so much. I have the same problem. I have the same question.
I have some comments about the report. I think the hook is quite appealing. And I have also a question that I remember Donald Trump is also on the list of the most influential people. And I wonder why you choose Joe Biden rather than Donald Trump.
I have to admit that Donald Trump is also influential, but let's just don't judge whether it is a good influential or a bad influential. But I would like to learn more about what Joe Biden did, because like everyone knows what Donald Trump did because he's often shown on the news. So I want to learn more about this person. So I choose Joe Biden as my topic. As you mentioned, influential, I would say I would still choose Donald Trump. But whether it is a good influential or a bad influential, I think this is a personal point of view.
What's your opinion about Joe Biden recently support Taiwan?
As a Taiwanese, I'm glad to hear that. But whether he can do some really helpful action to our country, and I think it needs time to prove it.